What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be answering the #1 most asked question by you guys of how much did it cost to rebuild this 2003 Cr125 right here back into brand new condition. But before I get into the total cost of all the really cool parts on this bike, I have a couple more awesome parts we're going to be adding today. So in a second here, I'm going to bring the bike inside and we're going to do that. But also stay tuned for later on in the video because I have a really important announcement for you guys. Okay guys, so if you remember, I got an upgraded rear swing arm from OEM Dirt Bike Parts, and to match up with that, he actually sent me over a upgraded new rear shock. So this is just going to replace the OEM one that's with the newer swing arm, and it's just going to give us increased performance. I'll go into the little details later on in the video when I get both the shocks out and compare them. But the old one actually performed pretty good, but this one's just going to take it to that next level and give us newer performance. So before I put this on, I'm just going to powder coat it real quick to have it look like the red. If you guys look down at the shock down here that we originally coated, we got that nice red powder coat on there. So we're going to start with that. And obviously the first thing I'll need to do before I can powder coat it is remove the spring off of the shock body here. I'm actually not going to be Cerakoting the shock body on this shock like I did on the old one. That's just because it already has a nice coating on there and just cleaned up. It's going to look really good with that red powder coat. And also, if you guys get curious about the red powder coat or how to powder coat yourselves, I do have a really detailed playlist of that and Cerakote up on the channel, so go check that out if you guys haven't already seen that. Because I'm probably just going to montage this powder coating process in this video just because this video isn't all about powder coating. Alright, now we have the older shock here on the left out of the bike, and surprisingly when this shock was in the bike with the new upgraded swing arm, it did perform really well. We had always planned to go up to the bigger shock here on the right, so we just wanted to go with something that was a little bit more beefy, a little bit more modern. It's got a 50mm Showa body on it as opposed to the Kayaba on the left there, and just a bigger bladder and reservoir as well. So it's going to handle like a modern bike and feel a lot better than this one here. So that was kind of the main reason we decided to swap these out and kind of complete that upgrade of the rear suspension system on this bike. So if you guys are at all interested in doing upgrades like this to your bike or anything like this on an older two-stroke or pretty much any bike, these guys are experts over at OEM Dirt Bike Parts on any upgrades, OEM or aftermarket. So I'll have their website down below for you guys to check out and just let them know, and they should be able to help you out with whatever you need. Alright, well let's toss this awesome new rear shock onto the bike. And instead of putting this FMF Turbine Core 2 pipe back onto the bike, I actually picked up a new Pro Circuit R304 stainless silencer here. So this one's a lot smaller and it's going to be a lot lighter than the bigger FMF here. And also it doesn't have a spark arrestor in it, so it's going to be unrestricted and allow the exhaust gases to flow out a lot quicker and run a lot better on the bike. If you guys remember, I did restore a Pro Circuit header pipe to go with this silencer as well in an earlier video. I just didn't have that pipe quite ready yet. I did some more work on it, but just couldn't get it ready for this video. But we're just going to put this silencer on there and see how it sounds with this FMF header pipe. It should still sound really good. Okay guys, well it's the next day and we are back outside and we're finally going to talk about the total cost of every component on this bike. Some of these components on the bike I did get deals on from the brands that provided the parts, but I'm just going to go over the total cost as if one of you guys was going to build this bike on your own. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, at the end of this video I'll have a playlist of this entire build series link for you guys to check out, just so you'll have a better understanding of all that went into building this bike. So when I purchased this bike for $900, I originally planned on putting a couple $1,000s into it and making it just a really nice track and trail hybrid bike that could do both. But after I got into this build, I really wanted to take it to that next level and really make an amazing bike. So what I ended up doing is pretty much rebuilding every component on the bike to either brand new condition or replacing it with a high performance aftermarket part. So let's go check out the parts on the bike. Let's start here with the wheels. Okay guys, so for each pretty much section on the bike, I'm going to talk about just a few of the main parts and give you guys the total cost of the section. I'm not going to go over all the little stuff, but for this bike, I went with Warp 9 racing wheels. These things are awesome, they look cool, and they were $95 for the rear and $95 up front. The tires on here that I went with are the Dunlop MX33s, and they were $76 up front and $86 in the rear. And then also replaced all the spokes with brand new spokes, so those ran $70 for the rear and $70 for the front. And in total the wheels came out to $656.17, and that's including the powder coat and everything else on the wheels, even the wheel bearing rebuild kits. Alright guys, and next up is the brakes here. So I was super happy with how these came out. Obviously the Cerakote and the graphite black, the light gray Cerakote here, and then the stainless steel Tusk braided brake lines and the awesome Pro X rotors in the front and rear. I think these were $60 front and rear, and then the brake lines were $45 in the front and $35 in the rear. But in total, for all the rebuild kits on the brake caliper and the master cylinder, pretty much rebuilt all the seals and everything inside the system, flushed it out, got new brake fluid and everything like that. So that all came out to $401.50 to overhaul the braking system. All right, next up here is the engine. It did work out to be the most expensive part on the bike, but it did come out awesome and runs really good with a ton of power. The main components on the engine were the Electron carburetor. Those run $467. The V-Force 3 reeds, those are $141.99. The Fathead Racing cylinder head with 4 domes comes out to around $300. And then we have the Cerakote work here and the FMF fatty pipe. And then over here in the exhaust, we have the new Shorty silencer as well as a FMF turbine core that actually came with the bike, so that was free. So the total price on the engine came out to $2,078 even. All right, and then for the drive system, we have a primary drive sprocket up front, gold X-ring chain, and then the mica metal sprocket in the rear. And all of the drive system came out to $145.01 to replicate that. All right, and then as we talked about earlier, we upgraded the rear suspension to replicate a 2017 CRF 250R. So the rear swing arm and shock and all the linkage rebuild kits came out to $1,462 if you guys were looking to replicate the modern suspension on an older two-stroke. All right, guys, next up is the bars and all the controls. So we have the ASV clutch lever here. That was $114.99, and then the bars are $67.50 for the Pro Taper CR high bend bars. And in total, the bar setup, including rebuilding your steering bearings here, came out to $343.64. All right, and on the plastics, guys, we got the Polysport Restyle kit, the 271 graphics kit here, and then the throttle jockey seat cover. All of this was custom and came out absolutely awesome and will run you $450 to replicate yourself. All right, and then last up is like pretty much miscellaneous stuff. So we had like the Scotch-Brite wheels to clean this up from Prime MX, and then all the Dremel bits to get into the tight corners here probably came out to like $45, and then you could say maybe $200 in miscellaneous OEM seals and parts I didn't include. And then probably you're gonna pay like $300 shipping to get all these parts in. And then you have taxes on top of that. So the grand total on the bike came out to $7,182 before tax. After tax, you're probably looking at somewhere around $8,000 in parts. Obviously, there was a lot more labor, so at like a $50 an hour labor rate, you could say this is a $30,000 bike here. But I didn't talk about a lot of the little things because that would have taken me all night to go into all the little details. But I'll have as many of the parts as I can remember down below for you guys to see the pricing on individually. And I'll also try and add as many links as possible for you guys to check out to order those parts for yourself. Okay guys, but the big announcement was, actually I'm going to be putting this bike up for sale here. We got a ton of cool stuff coming on the channel, and I'm going to put this up for sale for one of you guys to own. Just so I can fund the next build and some future series. So if you guys are interested in owning the bike or have any questions about it, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'll have my Instagram down here, as well as shoot me an email if you guys aren't on Instagram. I'll have my email down in the description for you guys. All right guys, but I appreciate all of you guys following along with the build. And if you guys aren't already subscribed, make sure you're subscribed because I do have some really cool stuff coming. With the How to Flip a Dirt Bike series, as well as some really cool new build series plans that are going to be coming here soon.